Hello, food enthusiasts and political junkies. Welcome back to another episode of
Los Leftovers,
where we talk about food, culture, and news you have not yet fully digested. I'm Jordy.
And I'm Huberto.
And we're back. As we saw in the last episode, we were at the DES office talking to members of the community about the actions surrounding SNAP benefits and the government-led shutdown by Republicans. There were a lot of powerful stories in the community with a lot of members who voiced themselves. What did you think about them, Huberto?
Oh, yeah, it was a really powerful moment. We got to see a lot of people show up and show out and take action against some of the representatives that we need to hold accountable because of the moment that we're in. We got to hear from, mothers and grandmothers and children who were actually going to be affected by it. And it was just such a powerful moment, in my opinion. And you know what? And it's actually funny because I think in that whole moment that we were there and we were talking to community members, to like Isabella and Alyssa, it makes me think about like the power of storytelling, which is like the biggest thing that we do in organizing. But it also makes me think about like, what does it mean to be a storyteller in other ways? Some people use their voice, to tell their story for like the media and get very serious about like what they're experiencing in their life. But then I also think about storytelling artistically, which is, one of my favorite mediums to tell stories. And just seeing that the moment that we're in and like all the art that we're experiencing because of the moment we're in, and people just want to share their stories. And so with art, like I was actually thinking about like what makes like art, because there's like music, there's movies, there's, podcasts, we're artists in our own way. I was looking at the definition of what does art mean. And so, I was thinking about art and like what it actually means to be a storyteller and be artistic at the same time. And so the actual definition of art is hearing stories and expressions or applications of human creative skill and imagination, typically in a visual form, such as painting or sculpture, producing works to be appreciated primarily for the beauty of or emotional power. And I think that's the one part that stuck out to me was the word power. And what does power mean, especially as organizers? And organizing for power means the ability to act. And so seeing the way that those two things are connected is like, people are telling their story, they're telling their lived experience, and that's the act of it, but they're doing it in a more artistic way. I'm very excited for today's guest. We have an amazing storyteller and an artist, I would say, to tell us about, just the different stories that we're hearing, especially around our immigrant communities. So who do we have on our show today, Jordy?
We have a very special guest, Karime from Taste la Tradición, and I think it fits right perfectly into talking about art.
So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Joining us in the studio today, we have Karime, one of the Valley's Poderosas, a person who I admire a lot, and she is a part of a new cooking show called Taste la Tradición. And welcome, Karime.
Hi, Jordy. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. And I just want to get into our interview section. For folks who haven't seen Taste la Tradición, how would you describe it in your own words?
I would describe Taste la Tradición as a beautiful love letter to our community, to our immigrant community from various backgrounds. In this show, we get to see really an inside look to many stories, many ways that people come to this country, many reasons why people come to this country, all while they're sharing a dish that means something to them. So, it's just this beautiful culmination of culture, tradition, storytelling, and it's just it has a very special place in my heart.
Yeah, it seems like it's very special. And one question I would like to ask you is, when filming the episodes, what was it that you were able to experience during the shooting of the episodes that you could probably bring to life for our viewers who haven't seen the show?
Yeah, I think one of the main themes throughout this story, even from the pre-planning to actively shooting and after the show, I think the main theme throughout is the power of storytelling. And that is something that anybody who's watching the show, who's watching this podcast today, should take away from this project, is that storytelling is one of the most intimate and powerful things that you can offer to the world. And when you open up that box of bravery and to allow yourself to be known in this way, can shift narratives. It can create literal revolutions. The power of storytelling, I think, sometimes gets overlooked, but that is something that I want everybody to know from this project and to take away from it.
Awesome. And when looking into the stories of the people who were brave and were able to bring forth the very emotional aspects of their life, how can you explain to the people who are watching how that relates to the stories of them, and where they come from, their culture, their background, what they went through, and how that you mentioned that it's part of love. How can you connect that?
Yes, absolutely. I think first, in order for somebody to be able to share their story, they have to love their story. You have to have a level of respect to your story in order to share it. And I think that was beautifully displayed in this project. Every single episode features a different cook. We're in a different kitchen. We're hearing a different side of this immigration world, and I think that at the center of it all is always love, because as you'll get to hear in these stories, it's a central theme that we actually didn't plan. Like, we didn't say, oh, your story has to talk about love and this. It just happened naturally, and it occurs in every single episode. You'll see how that person interprets love and how love is a driving force to their story, or even just like a big part of why they're here, why they left their birth countries. And yeah, love really connects stories in the real world, and it actually connects our entire series together.
I definitely learned a lot during the episodes of Taste la Tradición. I definitely saw what it meant to have love towards what you love doing in regards to cooking, but also how that relates back to one's culture. Specifically, I really loved the episode of Honduras. Can you tell us more about that episode and how you saw that? If you can give us a little bit of that.
Yes, so the Honduras episode is Juana and Virginia, and they are a mother and a daughter. Actually, when I think of a mother and a daughter, I probably think of a mother and a younger daughter, maybe a teenage daughter or something. But Juana and Virginia's story is actually two ladies who find their love for family in a way that is completely different than I've ever seen before. They were able to share their dish. And I'm so sorry, I forgot what dish it was.
It was
Enchiladas. That's actually one of the only dishes I didn't get to taste. Okay, so I'll just continue. The dish that they prepared was enchiladas, and it was even just like their story was unique. That dish was unique to me. I'm Mexican, and so I'm used to seeing enchiladas in a different way. But seeing how they expressed themselves, of like Juana's love for her mother Virginia and Virginia's love for her daughter Juana and her grandchildren, was such an amazing side to the immigration story that itself provides a very unique perspective than perhaps Natalie and Natalia, who are also a mother and a daughter, who you'll see in the series, but they provide love for their family in a different way. So I won't spoil too much, because I definitely want viewers to see and interpret the videos for themselves, but you'll see that difference. But love, again, at the center of it all.
100%. I would like to bring up a specific moment while watching the episodes, which resonated to me a lot, was how first and foremost, the cooking looks amazing. I think if you really want to enjoy a meal that you cooked yourself and would like to join the show and tasting and creating the food and expressing the cultural background, I would definitely recommend it. A specific part that I really enjoyed was how one of the participants was saying that when people try her dish, they want to come back. And I think that speaks a lot on what we just discussed, which is love. You know, people want to come back to something that they love, and they know that someone made with love. So really appreciate your work in that aspect. I want to ask you, how did the idea for the show come about, and why did you choose food as the centerpiece?
Yes. So we had a lot of different ways that we could have taken this project on. But one thing that rang true in pre-planning, even pre-planning, was that we wanted something that centered Latino stories, specifically in Arizona, because we know through research that Latinos in Arizona actually don't see themselves represented in either political parties. Latinos in Arizona also share this idea of linked fate, which means that they know that what affects them personally actually is things that affects community itself. And so when we were planning this, we really wanted this project to be something that spoke to those people that are in the middle, that perhaps don't see themselves represented in narratives, people that want to be reminded of their culture, reminded of their traditions. And so food naturally was at the forefront of those ideas, because food connects us all. I mean, it's something that we all share in common. Every culture has a specific dish. Every even festivity has a dish that comes to mind. I'm sure that if we sit here and talk about, Christmas, any other celebration, you have a dish that comes to mind. And food is such a beautiful entry point because it really showcases migration, which is another central theme in this series. Like, food migrates with us. The recipes of our ancestors have migrated years. Spices around the world have migrated. Food really just shows the beauty in migration, the human element in migration. And I think there's something really special about being able to share a meal with somebody, breaking bread even. Just that piece itself is something really beautiful, and it can be very intimate.
I think that there is a lot for the viewers to digest themselves when watching these episodes. And you mentioned that there's a lot of problems socially and politically. And if you can connect further, how does food and emotions and connecting people in a grander scale through what you're doing, how can you portray that to the viewers who are watching? You already went in, but if you can go a little bit more deeper.
I'm sorry. Can you reiterate your question?
Yes. Well, mainly I just want to know how like the emotions and the emotions that food brings with the culture that they're in. So, for example, like Honduras has the enchiladas, and how can viewers who are not in touch with their culture watching these episodes be moved to change socially or politically with the problems that they're having?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the beautiful things about this project is that it doesn't actually lead with politics. There's not many politics, you know, explicitly mentioned in the project, but what you can take from it is people's stories. What you can take from it is the humanity. What you can take from it is that this person can be your neighbor, they can be your friend, they could be your coworker. And I think that is the piece that anybody can relate to, regardless of, if you're a master chef or a rookie in the kitchen. It really boils down to, like, this person can be your own grandma who's cooking. And we really do encourage people to try out the dishes. At the end of every episode, you will see a recipe card. You can replicate the dish. You can try to make it while you're watching the episode. We really try to make it interactive in that way, because we don't just want to hope that you're watching this episode and are moved by it. We want you to actively participate, because that's what community is like as well. It requires active participation.
Why would you recommend the Latino community to try different dishes?
Well, Latinos are diverse in so many aspects. We come in different shapes, colors, music. We even have different flavors within Latin America and different spices. That's something that surprised me in the filming of this episode was like I'm a proud Latina and I thought that I was well versed in like Latin culture and Latin cuisine. And I was actually pleasantly surprised that some of the participants cooked with spices that I have never heard of before, made dishes that I had never seen before. And I'm hoping that other viewers actually have this experience as well. Like, no matter if you don't, consider yourself Latino or Latina, or if you're just curious, like you will find your place in this series. And I think it's just a beautiful, again, a beautiful thing to be able to share recipes with one another because not only will you grow like your palate, but you will also grow in appreciation of the other person. Like, wow, one of the participants shared, you know, this dish was important to them because they actually grew up on a farm and these were the ingredients that were available to them. And those are the little pieces that you don't usually get when you're getting a recipe from Pinterest or something, you know. This really is like human to human interaction. So that's something different that that viewers will get to see.
What did you learn while taking in the mastery in a specific cultural food? What did you learn from that, from the people cooking it?
Oh gosh, there's so many learnings throughout this entire process. I mean, from the beginning of the planning, we learned quickly, you know, we had to help folks walk through the importance of sharing their story. I think it's again a really powerful thing to allow yourself to be known in this way, and that was one journey that we had to walk with our members of like what would it look like if you were to be on this project with us and walk this journey with us, something we've never done before, but you know, you get an opportunity to share a little piece of your home country and also a little piece of your story. And while there was a bit of resistance, I think at the beginning, after the fact, you know, after we got through that, what we see is just like this beautiful human development of people just wanting to be known. And a lot of them even said, I just want people to know that this journey is different for us all. And if my story can contribute to that, you know, beauty and difference, then I want to be a part of this. And so, yeah, I think I learned one, you have to be able to um, want to be known in this way and share your story in this way. And two, just really being open to new experiences.
Well, I definitely learned a lot while watching the show, and that's thanks to you. I think that there was a lot of understanding. Someone like me, and I'm sure a lot of viewers who aren't really indulged in food processes. We're so used to our fast food and whatnot. We're not really indulged in our own cultural food, and we shouldn't be we should be indulged in our cultural food. I definitely took away a lot of what it means to come from a very different culture, and the amount of work it takes to preparing food, the amount of work and dedication and love that goes into preparing these foods. And I really enjoyed the show. So while filming, when have you seen people's walls come down and seeing their real stories start to flow?
I think that it happened in various ways and in various times for each participant, but I don't know. There was like this magical moment with every single participant that I was very grateful to experience along with them, where you can just see like they fully stepped into this role, fully stepped into this project, and allowed themselves to be. For some of them, it came through as tears, like literal crying on set. And we were all trying to find our tissues of like, okay, let's stop rolling because, you know, we have to feel what we're feeling in this moment. For others, it was during our pre-planning sessions where we were trying to get to know them a little bit better. And they just allow themselves to be open and honest. I think a unique element from our project is that we were really trying to honor people's privacy. And so you'll see that the series actually doesn't show people's faces. We're focusing on like movement of your body, of your hands. And I think that really allowed the participants to flourish and know that, okay, I will be, there's something about my identity that will be left private. But yeah, there was just like this really magical moment with every single participant where they just allowed themselves to open up. So I guess a little word of advice: if you're watching the series, have some tissues laying around because you might share tears with the participants.
And with the show being so emotionally impactful to the community, what would you say is something that touched their heart? What specifically would you say is, or that are things that touch their hearts mostly?
Well, I think just the simple fact that we have different stories, different types of profiles and people and backgrounds being portrayed allows the audience to see a little bit of themselves in each episode. I remember one is Carmen's episode, which was the one from El Salvador. And she shared a powerful, powerful story of her actually having to cross El Rio Grande, which is an experience that might be unique to her and to, many of the viewers. But a reality is that it's actually not very unique to our immigrant community as a whole, because many have had to trek this dangerous journey to get here. And but she explains like why she did this and what drove her to do this. And again, at the center of it was love. Personally, I don't know a lot of forces out there in the world strong enough, like the power of love, to make you go on a journey like this. And so, yeah, it's just like magical to see every single person share a little piece of themselves. And through that, I think that everybody in the audience will be able to see just a little bit of themselves in these stories as well.
There is a lot of people who come to look for a better future, and if it's through love, is it also through love for the family?
Absolutely. And love looks and feels and sounds different for everybody. Some stories you'll see in the series talk about their love for their children, and that's what drove them to come here, to give better opportunities to their children. Others, it was love, literally the love of their life, who happened to live here, and so that's what drove them to come and live with them, was love for their spouse. Even in like the mother-daughter episodes, it's this like overwhelming love for each other and for family and for unity that drove folks to move here or to stay here. Really, regardless of the reason why somebody moved here, I think we get to see the humanity of like, these are just regular people, and people deserve to live and move freely. So yeah.
Yes, 100%. And going back to Carmen's story, I think she was in the Rio Grande and she saw a crocodile, which I thought was very scary.
Yeah.
And that just demonstrates the love that she had to continue on. I remember her saying that she was with someone who was helping her get to where she is. And she said, she's like, I'm not going back. I have to go forward.
Yes, yes. And that was such a powerful line in her episode that, she said, and she continues to live that way, which I think is so, so brave.
So brave. Some art is loud and confrontational, while Taste la Tradición feels like a softer rebellion, as more nourishing, intimate, and still political art. What kind of message do you think that sends in today's climate?
Yeah. Well, first, I think there is a softness to Taste la Tradición. Artistically, you can see the softness through the screen, but the medium itself, I don't think that it's soft necessarily. I think that Taste la Tradición, what it is at its core, is an impactful, brave, raw form of resistance. Because I don't know, I'm not an artist, but sharing a poster, sharing a graphic, those are real, emotionally charged mediums of art. But there's just something so brave and incredibly unique about allowing yourself to be known in this level and sharing your story that I think is unmatched. Like, knowing that somebody has gone through something like this is, soft in essence, but it's also super, super powerful. Like, rebellions have been started through storytelling. But yes, I mean, at the end of the day, there was a reason why we chose a video series, and there was a reason why we chose food, and there was a reason why we chose the stories that we did, because we want to shift the narrative that's being told. We want to show that, people who move here, people who are immigrants, people who identify in whatever way that they do are still people at the end of the day, are still human. We're more than headlines. And that's just this project so happens to be the medium, but the message stays true.
So food is not soft. It has a lore of battles and combats.
Yes, I mean, wars have been started for spices, So I think there's something kind of poetic there too, of like sharing powerful stories and also incorporating food, because like I mentioned earlier, food migrates just like people.
And what would you say about the softness of providing food to a loved one? How can we bring the stories, if we're not already through the show, to people who aren't connected with that?
Yeah, I mean, food is a basic human necessity, and there should not be anything controversial about making sure people are fed. That's just the bottom line of the reality of having food as literal like substance for human survival. But there's also something very powerful in being able to break bread with somebody. And I don't know about you, but sometimes the most intimate, the most wonderful stories have happened in our kitchen table, like with my family over dinner. Some of the happiest memories of my life were celebrations over dinner or over brunch or breakfast. And yeah, there is like obviously something very nourishing about food, but there's just like this extra element that I don't know gets to be explored as deeply as we have through Taste la Tradición.
Well, thank you, Karime, for joining us for another episode of Los Leftovers here at the studio. And thank you for letting us to get to know you a little bit better and the amazing things you're doing with Taste la Tradición. For people who want to stay connected with Taste la Tradición, where can they find you?
Of course, it's been a pleasure being here. All episodes of Taste la Tradición are out now on the Arizona Center for Empowerment YouTube channel. You can also follow us on all social media platforms to continue this conversation. And if anybody out there needs to be connected with immigration services, you can reach us at empoweraz.org/services.
Well, thank you again so much for being with us, and hope to see you soon.
Yay! Till next time.
Well, that was a really great conversation you had with Karime, Jordy. I feel like I've learned a lot about the show itself. What were some of the takeaways that you got from it?
There was a lot of takeaways. I think Karima did a great job in demonstrating what it is to come from different cultures, have different tastes, a lot of different palates in our communities. And I just hope to get more involved in Taste la Tradición and, learn more about the culture and food that comes with it.
Absolutely. And for audiences at home, if you want to see a season 2, comment below. And also remember to subscribe. And remember, when we eat together,
we win together.
Goodbye.